everyone. I hope that you are healthy and crafting. Today, before you know it, the 4th of July will be here, and hopefully you'll get to make this craft for the 4th of July. As you can see, it's really simple. It's our version of the American flag. I have one that's been antiqued a little bit, and one that has not been antiqued. So we always try to use or to make crafts from things that you may or may not have at home or are relatively inexpensive. So let's look at the supplies that we're going to need in order to make our American flag. And I'll move that over just a little bit, and then we'll discuss it in just a few minutes, the differences as well. You'll need paint sticks. And for this one, I needed 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and there's 2 on the back. Just glue that one. So you're looking at 11 paint sticks. Most hardware stores will not give you 11 paint sticks, but they are just 20 cents a piece. So that's reasonable because this project is adorable, and you could use this inside or outside. So you're going to need those. You're also going to need your red, white, and blue colors. Obviously, we're just using an acrylic. It's a permanent acrylic paint, and a navy, a red, and a stark white. You're also going to need a stain if you intend to distress it or antique it. You're also going to need a paste if you intend to put this outside. And then we have little embellishments like wooden stars. These are even foam stars that could be painted if you don't have access to wooden stars. Typically you can buy a little container of these, a little bag of these, maybe 20 of them, and they're a very reasonable price. Okay, you can also order these. And then I found these, which I did not include in our project today, but I found old buttons. So if you did want to do the antique look and make each of the star a large button, that would be wonderful. You can also order buttons in bulk through Amazon, but we have large ones. I have a lot of buttons. So this would be a great place to use those as well, in lieu of the large 1 star. And then ribbon. I love our choice of ribbons, and at the end of our project, we'll discuss different ways to make ribbons. I'll show you the easiest way that I found, and we'll see how that goes. So really the first thing that you need to do is kind of lay out your pattern for your flag. I would suggest that you do this just on a flat surface, your countertop and so forth, and then you can either tape off or just take a pencil and determine where the blue section of your flag is going to be. I would also think about my stars, how I'm going to get them on there. I used glue gun to assemble this. It would be very easy to use a very small nail or tack to tack this together with the glue. I would suggest using both. But think about what your resources are. Do you have buttons? How many do you need? Are you going to paint them, leave them the color that they are? Do you have access to the wooden stars, etc.? Could you draw them on? Absolutely. Could you paint them on? Absolutely. You could stencil it on. You could use the Cricut machine and have a multiple star pattern that you could imprint on here. So think about your options when it comes to how you form your flag. I will tell you that I did put all my slats, or not slats, excuse me, my paint stirrers in the same direction. Typically on one end it has a little indentation, and I thought that was a great opportunity to almost present a little wave at the beginning of your flag as well. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the white ones since my paintbrush is already loaded with white paint. And by the way, I'm sure you probably know this, but keep it in a Ziploc bag when you're not using it, a zipped Ziploc bag, and it will stay nice and wet for you. You won't have to wash this brush out because I use white a lot. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a little bit of our white paint These are very porous. Now, this one has already had one coat on it. I'll put a second coat on it in a minute so that you can see how it's done. What it looks like, the finished product. I get the sides as well. I do not have my hairdryer hooked up at this time, but if you do have a hairdryer close, that makes the work a lot quicker. Simple. So we're going to lay this one over here to dry. And I'm going to give this previously painted one a second coat. I think 2 coats are enough. Paint as many as you like. And there we go. I think I will get the hairdryer so we can finish up our project. My apologies for that. All right, let's get these dry. Okay, so this was one that had the 1 coat, and this one has 2. The next thing I'm going to do is determine if I want the distressed look or the not distressed look. And in this case, we're going to leave our single coated untreated. We're not going to distress it. This is still a little bit wet. I used chalk paint on a previous project, and it dries so much quicker. It is more expensive though, so I wouldn't suggest just on your small crafts like this that you would use it. But for your larger projects, if you need the efficiency of something that dries very quickly, I would use the chalk paint. Rough this up as much as you want to. You could even take a palm sander to it if you wanted to really get those edges. This is a medium weight sandpaper I'm using. Probably not the best day to wear black today. I don't know if you can see that from where you are, but it's distressed all along the edges there, just as this one would appear here. Now, to give it that antique look, we are using a stain. This is what I have on hand, so I did not go buy any for this. This is probably very old, but I only needed something that would slightly discolor it to give it that aged look, and this was perfect. It's very messy, so we're gonna get on another set of gloves. I normally do not mind getting my hands dirty at all. Last night they were completely white from preparing for a project. But this stain, it'll stay. Okay, so to put that on, I'm going to take a paper towel. And this is my distressed one so far. I'm going to get a little bit of that on the end of the paper towel, and I'm just going to rub. You do not want a thick coating. Well, you could. If you really wanted to really rough it up and really make it look distressed, you could add more to it. Obviously, the longer you keep it on there, the darker the stain is going to get. And if for some reason you're not pleased with how distressed it became, for instance, maybe it's patchy, feel free to take a swipe with your paintbrush and add that right back on there. And you can see that's all it took. It was so easily done. Now, you'll notice this one's streaky. I'm okay with that. I may touch up just a little bit right here, but this could be definitely a finished project because the goal again was for distressed or aged. This definitely looks distressed and aged. Let me cover this back up real quick. As I said, it's a disaster. And then because, or just in case, you intend to put this outside, we're going to put the paste wax on it, and that will give it a finish. I do want to make sure this is dry though. Let's use that. There we go. I'm just using a buffing cloth. And I'm going to get right down in there. This has many purposes. It's used for finishing wood, obviously, but if you are into crafting, it's great for finishing even canvas surfaces. So it'll be well worth your money. I'm just applying a quick coat. To both ends. This is a natural, so it will not change the color of the wood. And then the clean portion of your buffing cloth. If you are going to do this outside or present this outside or on a door that gets weathered, I would also protect the underneath side with your. And you can see there's your distressed one. It may not look exactly like that, but it's kind of like anything that's aging. It's all going to look a little different. The patina on it's going to be a little different as well. I also really like the fact that this one is just red, white, and blue. No distress to it. It is just bright and there. So either way that you choose. Now, how do you hang these? If you had some dowel rods are long circular sticks that you can get at a hardware store. If one of those was sharpened just a little bit on each edge, those two could be placed on the back of this and it could be used as a yard flag. If you're going to hang it, here's my suggestion. I would drill 2 holes here. I might bring this through the hole in the front. Actually, you could probably do it between your slats here. Even if you just did the knot, just a big bold knot on the front of it, then that's going to give you the opportunity for it to hang as well. Now, we've introduced some of those beautiful ribbons over there. Let me move a little bit of my supplies back, and let's look at a bow that I make a lot because I have a lot of scrap material, and I upcycle everything, literally everything. I will upcycle it, or try to upcycle it. So this is what I call a crazy, I'm going to take my gloves off for this, just kind of a crazy rag bow. It's for those of us that are not really eloquent with our bow tying skills, but gives a really good, fun impression. And what I've simply done, as you can tell from the back, I've used my wider, larger pieces of ribbon or webbing, and I've just started to stack those. In this case, I think there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. There are 13 pieces of ribbon that are here. Some of them I have pointed on the end. I'm not sure you know how to do that, but let's do that. I'm going to fold my ribbon in half, and then from my corner down, I'm going to make a cut, and there I've got my point on the end. Let's do the other side. Or up. You can do that if you wanted to. And there you go with this. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to make one of these. It's very simple, but just the easiest of things can be made into bows. This is, we'll use our red webbing. And we'll use a little bit of the navy webbing. And I love the denim look of this bow. I'm going to cut it just a little bit shorter. I'm cutting these about 6 inches. Obviously, this bow is going to droop somewhat. Well, I'll show you how to pull it apart in a minute. So you want to make sure that your pieces are just short enough so it doesn't droop too much. Now this one has glitter on it. I'm not sure it would be a bow that I would put with this one because we antiqued it and distressed it. But with this one, it would make a great combination. I'm going to put them all together. We'll see how this turns out. So I've got my red. Open up my blue just a little bit. And I'll put my blue ribbon down first and my red. I'll trim those and make points for them at the end of the ribbon in just a few moments. I actually really like this, which is just a grosgrain ribbon with white polka dots on it. Can be made seasonal, definitely. And then because I have so much ribbon, I found some strips of, let's do a couple of red. And a couple of blue. This is so easy and all. You're going to love it. Although my intent is to get someone here at the library, a friend of the library, to actually talk to you about how to make your bow the professional way. This has a wire in it, and I kind of like that for tying off the center. So I'm going to cut me an extra piece of it and put it to the side. Now, I do want to point out before I make the bow, this actually even has fabric in it. These are just little pieces of black polka dotted fabric, a red kind of vintage, antique looking red striped fabric. This one's very bright. I could have easily separated those and so that the brighter colors would go on this one, the more subdued antique would go on this one, but we're putting them all together. So all I'm simply going to do is in the center, I'm just gonna kind of wave, and what I mean by wave, just kind of back and forth, until I've got this scrunched up in the middle. And you'll notice we cut an extra one of our white with the ribbon. I'm simply going to tie that once. Tight. I do want to make sure it's centered, so I'll pull that down a little bit. Now, cute as is, but if we start separating our layers, then we're going to get a little bit more volume, and we'll actually be able to see our ribbons. There we go. It probably needs it even more than that, but this gives you an opportunity to see more of the different varieties of ribbons that you've used. Now again, just to show you how to get the points, fold it in half and cut to the point. Fold it in half, cut to the point. Let's do all of them. Feel free to trim up the length if you feel, for instance, the tooling or the webbing underneath of it is too long. Feel free to trim that up. And there you go. Very cute. It's so easy, so much easier. A lot of times I just cannot get the loops on a bow. Where do you put your bow? Anywhere you want to. Do you need a bow? Not necessarily. The flag should stand for itself as always. If you need one, if you feel like you need one, once you've hung this, perhaps at the top of your wreath holder over the door, perhaps on the brighter one up in the corner. I'm not sure I'm going to let you choose, but if nothing else, you've learned how to make what I call a ringlet bow or a rag bow. I hope you enjoyed this and will try it at home. It was fun. Thank you, and keep crafting.